steps so that all three craft, I looked at all three rows of windows down all three craft, and I could see these occupants, whatever you want to term them, in all three windows, and all three sets of windows going down these crafts, and they were looking at me. They were staring at me. They were definitely, I don't know, you read about these things in the papers and shit. They were definitely humanoid looking.
Okay.
As far as I could see, they had arms that they could point at me, like you and I would point at something. Look at that ant on the ground. They had heads that were shaped like ours. As far as whether or not they had ears or they had hair, I have no idea. The light was too bright. But they undoubtedly had two eyes. You could see these areas that appeared dark. They appeared very dark where their eyes were. It was darker than it was. Like, even though the light was so intensely bright, you could see that there was undoubtedly two eyes. I don't know how to explain it to you the way it looked, but you could see that, there was undoubtedly two eyes on every head. And they were undoubtedly carrying on a conversation because the way their heads were pointing and looking at each other while they pointed, you could tell these things were talking about the fact that I was standing down there on the ground.
Okay. Any estimate of length on those objects?
Of what?
How long they were?
Well, I'll tell you what. At a minimum, because I'm a traveling salesman, I've done a lot of flying. At a minimum, if you peel the wings and tail off a 747, you got it.
Okay.
I mean, off a 727. On a maximum, if you peel the wings and tail off a 747, you got it. But no hump, no cockpit windows. Only windows going down the side.
Okay.
And these things, well, not only did me and a whole bunch of my neighbors see them, I apparently saw them the closest of all of us. But I understand from Reitman, it's been reported from, at the time I talked to him, from Kansas City to Camden, which Kansas City is about 150 miles as the crow flies. No, about 120, 30 miles as the crow flies. Camden's about 20 miles as the crow flies. It's got thousands of reports on it. They even accepted my call correct. I couldn't believe it.
All right, sir. Could I get your name?
Well, yeah.
This is strictly confidential.
My name is...
Is that your first name?
Yeah.
Okay.
How many other calls you got about this tonight?
Oh, dozens. Now, which town were you at?
Okay. Climax Springs, Missouri, just like it sounds. Climax Springs. I don't know where they ever got that name. But I'll tell you, I got several of my neighbors that saw the same thing I did. 3 crafts in formation moving without any noise in a cloud of mist. And I'm going to tell you what. I have never in my life experienced anything like this tonight, but my whole attitude just got a total rearrangement tonight because I know I'm not nuts. I know what I saw. I was stone sober, and I don't do drugs or anything like that. I'm a man with 4 kids. I know what I saw, and I know what my retired neighbors across the way saw. I know what my mother saw. I know what all the rest of us down here on this part of the lake saw. We all saw the same thing. Whatever this thing was, I'll guarantee you the Air Force don't have no machines like this. My brother-in-law's in the Air Force big time, and he sent me pictures of the SR-71 Blackbird before they were even supposed to exist.
Okay.
And America don't have nothing like this. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Whatever this was, it wasn't Russian or American. And so it leaves the mind up to have to decide what the hell it definitely was. But I'll guarantee you what. Whatever these things were, they were large, they were silent. Why they were covered in mist, I don't know, but the cloud of mist moved along with them. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
It preceded them as they moved through the sky. The noses of these craft never broke this cloud of steam or mist, whatever you want to call it. It constantly preceded them. And as this thing moved through the sky, it made no noise, and it was each one of them was definitely loaded with multiple occupants that were staring out windows. They were looking out their windows, sightseeing, man. These things were sightseeing. Whatever they were sightseeing. And they stopped so close to me to look at me, and I could see no seams. They were close enough that I could see no seams, no rivets, no plates on this craft. The skin of this vehicle was totally smooth. Totally smooth. And it was matte. There was no shine. It was flat textured.
Okay.
No shine. But whatever it was, man, I'm going to tell you what, it was real bizarre. definitely cigar-shaped, but it had these two pods on the back that shone out lights like flashlight beams. And they were awful damn close to me. Awful damn close. It scared the shit out of me.
Did you hear any or feel any increase of temperature in the air at the time?
Not that I recognized, but I'm telling you what, I was so scared. I don't know if I'd have noticed it if there was.
Okay.
I was so scared, I don't know if I noticed it if there was. But I can tell you this, that they were close enough to me that the steam cloud that surrounded these craft perpetually as they moved through the air covered the trees in my yard, covered the trees all over my hill. And that's no kidding. Because that third one, when it dropped down far enough for that its windows could look out at me too, it was virtually touching the tops of the treetops on top of my hill here. And I'm almost to the top of the hill. I'm about 50, 60 feet off the lake. And the top of the hill is probably 150 feet from me where it crests.
Did you see any movement on the top of the tree at all?
No.
Okay.
There was no movement of anything but these craft. But they were moving slow, my man.
Okay.
I'm telling you, these things did not move fast. They idled away, so to speak. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
And when they came into view for me, they were like idling into view. And when they idled into view, like something, like it was really bizarre. I mean, something, all of a sudden, for some reason, my body just turned around and looked up. And then I just saw this cloud of mist boil up, like right out of a movie or something. It didn't look real. And when it boiled up and moved over, then you saw these things move into view. And then they all of a sudden moved into view. They stopped. And then when they stopped, the mist thinned. And then they moved into this stair-step position so that all three of them could look out the windows of all three of these crafts. And they stood there and stared at me. I don't know how long that was. I don't know whether they stared at me for 15 seconds or whether they stared at me for 15 minutes. Because the problem was, I had just loaded the fireplace with wood, I put on my coat, and I walked out the bottom story of my house. Everybody else was upstairs. I walked out and went out to the driveway. So I don't know how long I was standing out there in the driveway with them staring at me. But I do know that I was trying to yell and scream for everybody inside the house, and I was not able to. And I was not able to yell and scream until they got through with looking at me, so to speak, and started to move away. The minute, I mean the very instant, that those crafts started to move away and started initiating a forward movement again, then all of a sudden my body had moved. And that's when I ran right now and started screaming, God, everybody, come out here right now. I mean, I was screaming like a madman. Come out here, see this right now, because I thought I was nuts. I thought I had lost my mind. I mean, I was freaking out. I said, come out here and look at this right now. And everybody, I was so hysterical that everybody ran out immediately, and they all saw him too. And a whole bunch of people already did. And then that's when my brother and I went up on top of the hill. He got scared. He was so scared, he came back down the house. He wouldn't even wait up there with me.
Okay, how many other people saw that? What's the total number?
Well, in my family alone, 10.
Okay.
Because everybody's here this weekend. I mean, I got 4 kids. My brother's got 3. I mean, I'm not 20 years old, okay?
What is your age?
34.
Okay.
But then I stood up on top of the hill with my binoculars, and I'm looking around the horizon, and this pickup truck drives up and sees me standing there, and they stop, and they roll down the window, and the first thing they said to me was, you saw it too, didn't you? And I said, yeah, I saw something. What'd you see? And we go, oh, well, we don't know, what did you see? And they were like real apprehensive, you know? And I said, well, I'm not sure what I saw. I said, but I saw something float through the sky. They said, so did we. They said, how many of them did you see? I said, I saw 3. I said, so did we. I said, in a cloud of mist? They said, yeah. I said, where'd you see them? And then they opened up a little more after it was obvious that we had both agreed on what we had saw. And they said they were sitting down around Climax Springs, and they saw the crafts hover across 7. This is a retired couple now. They're both gray-haired. And they proceeded to tell me that they shut off when they saw them, they realized that something was strange with the crafts, the fact that the lights were shining the opposite direction that the crafts were moving. That they stopped their truck, shut off the lights, put it in park, shut off the motor, and got out. When they realized that they heard no engine noise, they tried to get their cameras. For some reason, and this is what the strangest thing that struck me about what they said was, they go, but we couldn't get our lens caps off the cameras. Now, that seems real strange. Now, I don't know whether they really got pictures or whether they really couldn't get their lens caps off the cameras. But I'll tell you one thing, I really couldn't move out in the driveway, so I believe them in the sense, maybe I believe them in the sense that they couldn't get the lens caps off their cameras. Because I know as long as those things stood, for however long that was, they stood there and hovered away from me. I was not able to move or scream. I'm 20 feet from the plate glass windows of my house, where everybody's sitting in the living room watching TV. And if I'd have been able to scream, they could have heard me instantly. They'd have heard me yell. I mean, down here in this part of the country, it's so quiet. We've got no traffic. There's no road noise. There's no airplane noise. I mean, it's dead silent. If somebody screams a half mile away, you can hear them. And I couldn't scream. These people couldn't get the lenses off their camera.
Do you see them quite often?
I've never seen them before in my life. They live on Kaufman Bend 11. Now, let me explain to you what that means. On every cove of the lake, one side of the cove will be Kaufman Bend 2. The next side of the cove is Kaufman Bend 3. Okay?
Okay.
And you have lots and lots and lots of coves. Get out your map of Missouri. Look up Lake of the Ozarks. It's in central Missouri, just west of Jefferson City, just south of Sedalia and Columbia, just north of Springfield, Lake of the Ozarks, and you'll get the picture. Although the map will not show you how many coves the lake actually has, because the lakes are like 110 miles long, but we got 1,456 miles of shoreline. That tells you we got a lot of coves. So the map doesn't tell you all the coves. And now in our area, there's Kaufman Bend, and the first cove is Kaufman Bend 1. The other side of the cove, the north side of the cove, is Kaufman Bend 2. Then the next cove you come to, the south side of the cove is Kaufman Bend 3. The north side of the cove is Kaufman Bend 4. Savvy?
Right.
Well, I'm Kaufman Bend 7. These people live on Kaufman Bend 11.
Okay.
So they live they live 4 coves or so up from me, whatever the case may be. But they definitely stopped and tried to photograph it, but they tell me they weren't able to. Now, I don't know whether they were just telling me that because they really weren't able to, but they tell me they couldn't get the lenses. They said they were not able to remove the lenses from their cameras. And I know that I wasn't able to yell to my family inside the house until the craft started to move away. And the minute they started to move away, my body could move again. And, man, the first thing I did was run in the house and start screaming, God, everybody, get out here now and look at this. And I brought all the 4 adults out there, and, of course, one of the children is way too young, but the other 6 of the children all saw it, too. In fact, the children that ranged in ages from 6 to 10 were so scared I had to really give some rationalized countenances for what it meant.
Okay.
These are children that go to church. They don't understand what UFOs are about. Me, myself, I don't go to church, but my mother and the rest of them are really religious. They go to church every weekend, Sabbath school. They don't, their comprehension is Jesus was born 2,000 years ago, and we're they don't grasp things like the fact that somebody else may live on another planet that makes us look ignorant. And I'm going to tell you what, after tonight, I believe it wholeheartedly that somebody's somewhere out there, because I'm going to tell you what, whatever these things were, I know I don't have hallucinations. I know I don't have hallucinations. I know what I saw, and even if I did have hallucinations, all my neighbors don't have the same exact hallucination.
Right.
Not all my neighbors.
Right.
Some of my neighbors don't have the same exact hallucination. My brother, my girlfriend, my mother, my sister-in-law, and my kids aren't going to have the same hallucination. I got 4 kids. They all saw it. And, it shook them up big time. They don't, they don't comprehend stuff like that. When they see something like that, they think of the day the earth stood still or something,
Okay. Well, thanks very much for calling, and if we get any follow-up on this, we'll get back to you.
All right. I'd be really interested to know just what the hell it was. I'd be interested to know who else in my area saw it.
Okay.
Have a good evening.
Thank you again.
Bye.